Sometimes you discover a band that you don't realize at the time how big of an impact it's going to have on your life over the years. I remember back in, I would say, 2014, 2015, when I was still a Christian and attending church, that a friend of mine, his name is Paul G. Let's just call him Paul G. We were talking about different music that we enjoyed, and I discovered that he also was into metal and rock. And he shared to me a song by this band called Nothing More, and it was Jenny.
I don't feel like I'm getting through to you. Let me paint this clear. Life is short, my dear. See your mother here. Her last painful year. I wish you only knew she stuck around for you.
And then I think he also showed me, I think it's called Ballast, This Is the Time. And I remember hearing that song and being like, all right, this is not the kind of music I typically listen to. I'm usually into more heavy metal. Like I was big time into like power metal, thrash metal, death metal, specifically bands from like Sweden, Norway, Finland, that part of the world. And it's not typically the kind of music I listen to, but that song really was well done, well produced, well mixed. Just everything about it was awesome. Great lyrics. Just very catchy, got stuck in my head. And then, of course, Ballast, This Is the Time. And I was hooked, and, the whole family, too. My wife at the time, my kids, all of us just loved singing that song in the car, Jenny and Ballast. That whole album, just loved every single song on it. It was so good. And then, fast forward a few years, I had since left the church, deconstructed, went on a more spiritual journey. During that time, Nothing More released another album. I think it's called The Stories We Tell Ourselves. I thought a few songs on that album were pretty good, but it wasn't really, up my alley too much. But then later on, they came out with Spirits, which is the shirt that I'm wearing now. And when it took me a little while to discover that album. I think it was probably a year after they released it, I finally gave it a chance. Really, I should say, I discovered it on Spotify. Oh, you know what? They released a new album. I should probably check this out. And I liked every single song on it. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like every single song. And I remember hearing some Alan Watts quotes throughout the album in between songs and such. I mean, like, that's cool. Since I left the church and got into spirituality, Alan Watts is one of the, spiritual philosophers I would hear or listen to or watch some videos on YouTube. So I thought it was pretty cool. And then, fast forward this year, Carl comes out. Every single song on this album is amazing too. Very well written. And once again, hearing some Alan Watts, quotes throughout the album. So I was like, all right, this dude is clearly influenced by some, spiritual ideals and topics and probably, dabbles in that stuff as well. So I was curious. I went on YouTube and I looked up Johnny Hawkins and looked up Nothing More and some interviews and such, and I had found out that the folks in the band, at least Johnny Hawkins and I think some other folks, also grew up in the church and even went to youth group and such, and they had since left that, from what I understand. So it sounds like they also grew up Christian like myself, but at some point they like I said, it seems like they had left that scene, but it appears they're still they haven't completely abandoned the belief in a higher power, some kind of faith, because clearly they're influenced by Alan Watts, which he clearly talks about spirituality and talks about God and the universe and such. So I thought it was really cool, and just the way they interspersed that in the album and how it influenced the lyrics. It was really awesome. And so I remember seeing them earlier this year for the first time finally in concert. I saw them at the Norva. I think it was back in maybe April. And they put on such an amazing show. I had a few drinks. And I went with my son and Connor from Edolis, the band that I'm in. We went. And I remember just going all out, singing all the songs. It was cool because I had known almost every single lyric to every single song. And I was headbanging, singing, throwing up the horns the whole time. And little did I know Connor was standing behind me the whole time. And I'm like, yeah, it was embarrassing. But at the same time, it was fun. And I don't regret it, obviously. But after that, I was like, yeah, I had found out that they were doing the Carnal tour and they're going to be going to Richmond. So I was like, I have to buy the tickets to that, because like I said, they had released their album, or some of the songs from the singles from the album, and it's just absolutely amazing. Like all four of the singles from Carnival were just absolutely amazing. So I had to go back and see them live again. So I bought the tickets, and then a little bit later, I find out that my kids bought me VIP meet and greet tickets to see them as well. So as a Father's Day present. So I was like, it was very sweet of them. So fast forward to last night, I go to the concert, and they had the meet and greet beforehand. And I remember I was standing in line waiting to meet them. I was debating whether I was going to bring this up because, I looked over at them and I'm like, they're kind of short. And I mean that with all due respect. If you guys happen to see this video, I'm 5'8", all right? I know 5'9" is the average height of a male, American male. So when I saw them, I was like, I'm going to fit right in. I wonder if I should say that. I'm like, nah, that might be awkward. And I was going to tell him, hey, I'm also, I was going to tell Johnny, I'm also a lead singer in a metal band too, of Idolus, but I chickened out. But what I did say, I finally got to walk up to them, and I was going to shake their hands, but they gave me hugs instead, so that was pretty cool. Then I, proceeded to say, hey, I just bought tickets to the show, and that was it. But then my kids surprised me with VIP meet and greet tickets, and so here I am, and they were like, that's cool, And Johnny's like, tell your kids I said hi, and that was really nice of him. And then I proceeded to do my little speech. I had something prepared that I wanted to say, and I said, guys, I usually don't like every single song on an album, but the last 2 albums you guys wrote, every single song was awesome. You guys blew it out of the water. The music gets stuck in my head. The lyrics are great. I really, that was really awesome. And then the next thing I said, which is the reason why I'm doing this video, is I said, someone who was a Christian, who's now an ex-Christian, I deconstructed, but I still have faith in a higher power. Your music has a special place in my heart because it still has, especially with the Alan Watts references, it still has that sense of, faith and a higher power and positive uplifting lyrics. And I appreciate that. And when I had said that, and one of the dudes in the band, I forget who it wasn't Johnny, but it was one of the other dudes who had said, I guess we're, a safe place, or like a hospital for ex-Christians or something like that. I'm not quoting him exactly, but something to that effect. And I thought that was like so hilarious. Dude, you literally are there's not much out there. There's really not much out there. I mean, you have if you think about it, you have I grew up a Christian myself, going to church, and I grew up on bands like Petra, Whiteheart, White Cross, Striper. You have bands and the heavier stuff like Deliverance, Tourniquet, Mortification, and then all the way up to Crimson Moonlight. All the really extreme stuff, and it's all just total evangelical Christian lyrics. And then it's like a switch gets flipped, and you get into more like Metallica, Megadeth. And then it gets more, heavy, extreme, Slayer, Morbid Angel, more evil type lyrics, more satanic type stuff. When you get to the black metal and the death metal, more evil, sometimes hateful, thrash metal type music with the lyrics. So you don't have much music out there. It's in the metal rock vein that's just positive, but not preachy in a spiritual / Christian sense. So to have a band like Nothing More, where you're not, you don't have to have this preachy band, but they still have ideals, spiritual and high ideals that the lyrics kind of point to or kind of pertain to, and Nothing More. I would say most of the music kind of, resonates with that, and that was huge. And I wanted to let them know, in as many words as I could in the time that I had, that that's what their music is for me. And I think that, there needs to be more bands like that out there, and I think that there is. I think, Skillet, for example, is a band that has a lot of songs like that. They can't claim to be like a Christian rock metal band, but, there needs to be more bands out there. I think that, like Nothing More. And if there are, in the comments, please let me know, because I'm curious. But, but I really appreciate Nothing More for being that band for me, as someone who grew up Christian, but has since left the faith for many different reasons, which I've shared on my channel before, but still has that faith in a higher power, that I can still have some kind of music that can still speak to me without, pointing to some kind of, historical religion with preachy lyrics. So I really appreciated that. So anyways, I got to take a picture with them. That was really cool. And they once again put on an amazing show. Like I said, I really wanted to tell them, that that I'm in a metal band, because I was hoping to say, someday I hope, because I'm in a band as well. I'm a lead singer in a band, and I was like, I wanted to say, I hope someday you guys come back to Norfolk, because I know that at least a couple of us, me and Connor, like nothing more. And it'd be cool if we could open for you guys, because I know that we don't want to be like a touring band nationally. We don't want to sign a record deal, but it'd be cool to like open for some, popular national touring metal band or rock band. Nothing more would certainly be what I would be certainly like super grateful to open for. I do think, and I'm not saying this to be like egotistical or conceited in any way, and I certainly can't take credit for it, but I do think our music in Edolis is on par with any other band that's opened up for Nothing More that I've seen in the past 2 shows. And the credit of that definitely goes to Alex, the drummer of Edolis, and Connor. He helps write a lot of the music, or comes up with some of the ideas for the music. So yeah, if anybody from Nothing More ever sees that and is curious, but yeah, where our music is more like, I would say, melodic death / power metal, but yeah, I still think it could work maybe. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. God bless.
Some people's minds just aren't worth changing. Some people's games just aren't worth playing. My peace of mind ain't always worth saving. I was just too young to see. I was just too young to see. The truth will set you free.